Hey everybody, Brian Good here with the late day version here of Storm Talk. We'll get into the pattern here as we break down the last, 10 days, less than 10 days now of the month of May. First off, on our satellite image, quiet. We got a few high thin cirrus clouds to our west. We had some diurnal type of cumulus clouds due to the uplift there from the Appalachian Mountains, and these will fade away to the east of us, but nice and quiet here for tonight, and pleasant too. Now, the water view shows where we are stacked up to our east and west with low pressures. A broader low, the mid-Atlantic. I'm watching that carefully. Anytime you get a low like that, you got to wait and see if you get any type of surface reflection in the Gulf Stream. Don't see any sign of that, but I'm sure that they are watching that. And then we do have a surface low across the Ozarks. It's moving northeast, and a lot of the action is going to be northeast out of the southwest as we get to the next several days, as we're still being protected at the moment in the high pressure zone. As far as severe weather goes tonight, it's going to be where the main belt of wind is taking place to our west. Tomorrow, still to our west, but a few thunderstorms get a little closer to us. And then as we head into Wednesday, and of course my map disappears right when I click on it. But anyway, it does have a slight risk into the Wabash, and then a marginal risk basically to about Louisville. And I'll explain kind of why that is set up for the area. First off, here's the 500 millibar level of the GFS. Look at all the Vort maxes. Those are the little X's you see. We have a somewhat of a Rex block type of setup with the low dipping back here, the trough feeding back into California, ridging, trying to develop here, but we've got this trough, that low in the east here, that's kind of blocking the pattern somewhat as of late, and preventing really from the ridge really from building in even stronger. But it is going to, as that low moves away, we will see that trend. Now, as we get into Wednesday morning, there is a weak little reflection showing up. I did see the RPM model is hinting at an isolated downpour late tomorrow night, early Thursday morning. And maybe because the GFS is also seeing a weak little impulse moving through. I don't see much of it developing because of a cap that we'll have, but we'll watch that again for early Wednesday. But as we into Wednesday afternoon, it is showing more vorts that move through the area, and this could lead to a complex of thunderstorms that could race all the way into the Louisville area. That's why the marginal risk goes up to Louisville and a slight risk for the Wabash. They're basing it on the idea of weakening trend of the thunderstorms as they closer to 65, something we're very accustomed to. That may very well be the case, but there could be a situation where we still could have a few warnings if they survive all the way to 65 late Wednesday night. So, two things to watch here. Chance for maybe a thunderstorm to develop Wednesday afternoon because of that morning vort that may leave a boundary in the area. So, pop-up thunderstorms Wednesday afternoon. We'll wait Wednesday night, overnight, and see what comes at us from the northwest. And then as we into Thursday, it's showing a weak setup here where the high is really building in, and we have a relatively quiet weather here. The ridge is mainly in force, all the vorts toward our west. But, so there's lack of a trigger really showing up in the upper layers of the atmosphere. I say but because there is a sign that we may have maybe a boundary from the MCS, the complex of thunderstorms, that could still be in the area Thursday that could be asleep and get woken up by the afternoon hours. So I'll show you that here in just a second. Also notice here, see the wind arrows here, there is a spin going on in the Bahamas. Hurricane Center is monitoring that. At this point, I don't see anything promising for development of tropical activity for Florida, the Carolinas, but I wouldn't rule it out. It's in a spot that is favorable this time of the year for that to happen, and it wouldn't surprise me. In fact, as we head into the weekend, this is the GFS again. The GFS is showing the ridge breaking down enough that we get more activity of showers and thunderstorms, and it doesn't know really what to do with that tropical wave, and here's the high pressure and control of the weather, Bermuda High in the Atlantic. One thing I will note, if we do see something tropical develop here in Florida or the Carolinas by this weekend, you will have on the northwest section of that what we call a lot of subsidence, a lot of sinking air. So these vorts won't be here. In fact, it'll be a very clear atmosphere as far as sky condition, and our temperatures would be a lot higher than what we have now. I say a lot, I would say about 5 degrees higher than we have now, and a mainly dry forecast. So if we have something tropical developing here in this area this weekend, the forecast, you will see it trend drier, warmer, if not hotter, and more humid. But that, again, that would be this weekend, the holiday weekend. It's still a possibility. It would really depend on how that tropical wave develops and the strength of the high Bermuda high to our west, and how much of this vortex activity it's spinning over and over again. The planes gets close to us. So a lot of moving parts for the holiday weekend, but just give you a glimpse into the crystal ball of what I'm looking at down the road. By the way, on Wednesday, here's the NAM model, and it doesn't show any vort, by the way, moving through, unlike the GFS. It takes it into Chicago, but I do think that could lead into the boundary could be left over from that for Thursday, the sleeping giant that we'll be waiting for. Best way I can word that. Let me show you the NAM itself, though, on humidity values, and we'll break down the severe potential from there. Here are the dew points. Anything over 60, you start feeling it. It's getting sticky outside. You get above 70, and it really feels sticky. And dew points for tomorrow, getting up there, getting closer to the 60 degree range, so you start to feel it a little more. Wednesday, yeah, you start to feel it a little bit more. Get into the mid 60, potentially dew point range. Notice how humid it is back here in that purple. A lot of 70 degree dew points. That is just plain sticky out there, and fuel for thunderstorms as well. And then as we head into Thursday, we're in that zone, the thunderstorm zone now, because we got dew points in the 70s. So all you got to do at that point is sneeze. You may get a thunderstorm to develop. But notice this little pocket of lower dew points. You're like, but that looks weird. It's because it sees that little vortex early Thursday in Chicago may leave a boundary that could develop into thunderstorms in the afternoon that could move in Thursday evening. So, yes, the upper layers of the atmosphere doesn't show anything that would trigger thunderstorms, but the lower layers of the atmosphere may have a boundary from Wednesday night and Thursday that may sneak in Thursday afternoon and be a mini cold front, if you will, and produce thunderstorms. It could trigger. That is important to watch because we've got a lot of humidity at play, but we're also going to be watching the amount of energy and instability. We don't have much to talk about tomorrow, but as we head into Thursday, you see where it drops the energy levels behind the thunderstorm complex. This is the stratiform rain area around Indianapolis, if this is right. But notice this is the lifted index as we head into, the Cape values, as we head into the evening time period. I mean, these are really high Cape values, very, very unstable atmosphere, and it'd be an issue whether or not these thunderstorms could break the cap. In fact, here's what the radar looks like on the NAM. You can see the stratiform rain, and it looks like a tail even, and a little MCS. So I will be watching that. So to summarize once again, I know I've said a lot and thrown a lot of terminology at you, but we will be okay tomorrow. We'll watch late tomorrow night, early Wednesday for maybe a weak little wave. Could trigger nicely a thunderstorm. We'll watch that wave that could trigger a few pop-up thunderstorms Wednesday afternoon. Then we'll wait until Wednesday night, around midnight or so. We'll see if something develops to our west around St. Louis in Illinois and erases our way towards sunrise Thursday. Or the other scenario would be the thunderstorms head towards Chicago and leave us alone Wednesday night, but Thursday they have a little bit of a weak boundary from that become awake again. It wakens up as we into Thursday afternoon as an MCS, as shown here, that moves in, and those could be some powerful thunderstorms with a lot of potential energy to take advantage of. So that's why our thunderstorm chances are high in some areas, but relatively low in general as we head into this weekend, because to forecast these kind of setups in advance is very challenging to do. Just know that the best chance still is going to be north and west of Louisville for any activity between now and Friday. If you live south and east of Louisville, your chances are lower. So we'll see how it plays out. The humidity and the heat, though, building in is going to be a big thing. So that's it for now, guys. Kind of a messy week here with a lot to keep an eye on. We'll update you tomorrow and see how it looks. See you on TV.